What's up, y'all? Today we're going trout fishing. We're way up in the North Georgia mountains. Yes, I said Georgia. We got all the types of fish that people don't really expect us to have down here. We've got flounder, speckled trout, redfish, black drum, sheepshead, cobia, tarpon, and we also got brown, rainbow, and brook trout, as well as walleyes and smallmouth and a bunch of other stuff people normally would expect to live in Georgia. And they're all give or take a couple hours drive from the middle of the state right smack in Atlanta. So only reason we're going after these trout is because I want some fried trout and a salad for dinner. It's been a while. And I've caught a bunch of fish on bait finesse over the last couple of years, and I really want to try it out on some trout. I've caught crappie and bass and stuff like that with them, but I think I'm going to try them on some trout today. There are some do's and don'ts for beginners that want to get into it, and we're going to cover some of that stuff, so it's going to be pretty fun. Watch this. Oh, and side note, trout, stocker trout. We have both wild and stocked fish in Georgia, but the ones we're going to be catching are mainly just little stockers. I'm up here by the Chattahoochee National Fish Hatchery. This is the creek that runs right off next to the hatchery. You can pull over to the side and just walk down and fish most pieces of it that are within the first 2 or 3 miles from the hatchery. And they're full of trout. They dump thousands in here. So stock trout being easily one of the dumbest fish in the world, we're going to catch a pile of them today. This is going to be fun though. Watch this. Alright y'all, so I'm trying to catch a full limit of trout today. In Georgia, your limit is 8 per person per day. The species doesn't matter, and what combination of species doesn't matter, but your limit is 8. All I did was walk down through the woods. I found me a nice place to get in at, and we're just wet wading today. This water is extremely shallow. It's probably only 1 foot, 2 foot deep. Trout will get into some shallow, fast water just deep enough to cover their backs, so we're not worried about that at all. What I'm looking for is any big boulders or any deeper pools or anywhere where the water would get slower at. Any riffles and runs, things that trout like. What's important is that, if you'll notice, I'm downstream and I'm casting upstream. My reason for that is because the fish are facing into the current. They're pointed that way. And I don't want to do an unnatural presentation reeling over their backs towards them. There's no natural food in the river that's going to swim like that. So I just throw out upstream and I work my bait back down. What I'm aiming for here is this little section of slower water that's next to this fast water. I can almost guarantee I'll get a bite right here. There we go. Called it. Called it. That didn't take very long. It's just a baby though. There's a nice little North Georgia trizzy. A little trout. Always important when you're handling a trout, wet your hands first. Trout are extremely fragile. And you cradle them. You don't lip a trout or anything like that. You cradle them by the belly. And don't grab him by his mouth like a bass. There you go. Nice little trout on an inline spinner. I also don't use a regular pair of pliers. I do some fly fishing, so I got these on me. Here's a pair of forceps. There's actually kind of a small one. He just got out of the hatchery. All right, buddy. That's one. That's two. I really should be using singles, but I couldn't find a single small enough. All right, buddy. Back you go. All right, he's right side up. He's back into the current. There you go. Just like that, already got one. Let's see what else we can do. Now, like I said, Stock trout are not very smart. In fact, stocker rainbows are idiots. Okay, there's another one. Very next cast. This is a better fish too. That's a good one. It'd be nice to run into a brown trout up there. That's a good fish. He might be a keeper. Look at him dig. Normally I would run a single hook instead of treble, but we're keeping fish today. I'm not as worried about it. Yeah, this one might be a keeper. Like I said, stocker trout not that smart. I'm in the current, casting upriver. Any deeper pools, any slack water, behind any big boulders, lay down trees, things like that. Trout would get down and sit in those areas and wait for food to come by. Like our friend right here, Mr. Rainbow. All right, this one we'll probably take. So being that stocker trout are not very smart, you don't need a whole lot of complicated gear to use to catch these fish. Really, any light or ultralight rod. If you're a bass fisherman, you can go ahead and use your drop shot rods, and anything you would throw a drop shot or Ned rig on would be a good rod to use. Crappie fishermen, any of your rods would be good to use. Pan fishermen, if you like to catch bluegills and shell crackers, you can use those. You can go to your local Walmart, pick up an ugly stick for 10 or 15 bucks and catch those fish on that type of gear. They don't fight super hard for their size. So you can use that lighter stuff, light tackle. Lines between 2 to 6 pound test are sufficient. I got 8 pound test on my bait finesse setup right here. We're gonna try some BFS for them a little bit. This is just straight monofilament too. There's not really any need for fluorocarbon. Now, rainbow trout and other trout as a species, rainbows are a little bit easier to catch than say browns are. Big browns are notoriously difficult to catch. But as far as it goes with trout, stockers aren't all that bright. Wild ones, ask anybody who fishes out, or any fly fisherman who fishes the White River or fishes out in Alaska or someplace where there's like giant rainbow and brown trout, any of the guys that fish for browns in Argentina. And they'll tell you that these fish are some of the most finicky fish in the world. They will come up, look at a dry fly for 10, 12 seconds straight. You'll make several casts. They'll come up, look at it, and peel off. They're extremely picky, very hard to catch. You have to go down to super, super, super light tippets. But with these stockers, it's pretty straightforward. What I've got on my bait finesse setup is a Rapala countdown. This is the X-Rap countdown, number 5. It's a minnow bait, and I'm trying for a little bit larger size fish here now. I don't think I'll get as many bites, but I do think I'll get the right bites. All right, I guess that countdown, either I got all the fish out of this pool or they just weren't feeling it, so I've gone back to my spinner now. Oh, there's one. Got him. Yeah, man, maybe it's just a spinner. Maybe that's got something to do with it. Another little rainbow. Tiny rainbow. Still got his par marks. Lift your hand, pick him up. Oh, hey, he released himself. Quick release. All right, that worked out. So, 2 things about my technique that I've got going on right here. You see how shallow this water is. Number 1, I've got a swivel on my line ahead of my lure. My leader is very short. I've only got maybe 8 inches, 8 to 10 inches of leader between my swivel and the spinner. The swivel is eliminating the line twist every time that I fish this spinner. That blade is down there going around and around and around at a high speed, and what's going to happen is it's going to twist your line, especially with this braid that I'm using. I've got braid to a fluorocarbon leader. and I've got that tied to the swivel. I'm trying to keep line twist out of my line. With this swivel, it's going to prevent that. Another thing is with how shallow this water is. I'm using a technique called high sticking. And all that is throwing the bait out, and as I'm fishing it, I'm just holding the rod tip up high. I'm keeping it just barely below the water column. These fish are down there on the bottom, even though it's only a foot or so deep. They're down on the bottom and they're looking up. So I'm keeping the spinner just above their heads. And what's happening is these fish are on the bottom raising up to it and grabbing it. So as they're eating the spinner, I'm actually looking at them and watching them grab it the whole time. It's also good being very visual where I can see the lure the whole time and I know what's happening. One more tip that I want to bring up is that trout have very soft mouths. I've seen a guy out giving them that trophy bass hook set every time that his bobber went down. He was fishing a different type of bait. I prefer to use artificial, but every time that his bobber went down, he was just swinging extra hard and he was missing all these fish. He didn't understand why. Trout don't work like that. Trout have a very soft mouth and they're very fragile fish. It doesn't take all of that to get a hook in them. All you have to do is lift. Just give it a firm lift. That's called a trout set in fly fisherman terms. Actually, it's just a firm lift and you'll get the hook into their mouth almost 100% of the time. It doesn't take very much to put a hook into a trout. Now, taking a closer look at where it was that I just caught those fish, you see these two rocks sitting in the middle of the stream. That's where I caught most of my fish from. They're slowing down the current. If you look up here, the water's a lot faster, and here it's a lot slower. It's a slightly deeper pool, and it's got some big boulders in the water, or big enough rocks in the water for those fish to be comfortable sitting behind them when they ambush some food. Well, I've caught a bunch of fish out of this section of the stream. I think I'm gonna move down some. Let's go further upriver, find us a new spot. Well, that's it right there, y'all. This is where a lot of our trout actually come from. And there's 3 or 4 fish hatcheries like that across the state of Georgia, where trout are raised and then released into a bunch of the streams and rivers all across North Georgia. You can go in and visit if you like, and they'll show you each process of growing these fish. There's thousands upon thousands of trout in those tanks. They raise them from eggs up to mature sized fish, and then when they're ready to be released, they go ahead and put them in the river. I'm looking at them now. There's thousands of trout in these little ponds, and a lot of them, a good bit of them anyway, they get released on the spot. Something that can't be denied is that trout live in some pretty cool places. Well, while I was out here, look what I found, y'all. Brown crayfish. That's what they eat naturally in here. That's what grows some of your bigger fish. And that's what you do. You find something like that, you match the hatch. It's actually giving me some ideas. I might go to a little micro Ned rig too. See what happens. But this little bit deeper looking pool right there might hold some fish. Oh, yep, right there. I just had one hit. Albeit not a very big trout, but it was a trout. Yep, got him. Got him. little trout. That 1-2 punch combo between the trout magnet and the spinner doing damage today. Not a bad trout. Not as dinky as some of the ones I've seen today, but... And this one's just a single hook, so it'll pop right out. This guy's little. He's still got his par marks. And what that means is when a trout is maturing, they start out as fry, and then they become a stage called a smolt. And a smolt is basically little bitty baby trout, no bigger than about your pinky finger. Then they become a par, and a par is a juvenile trout like this one. They have these markings on them, these little spots and blotches on him that are kind of that steely blue-gray kind of color. You can see these here. Those are par marks. When he becomes a fully grown rainbow trout, those will disappear. I need you to grow to be a whole lot bigger. Pretty colors. All right, off he goes. See him? See you later, Mr. Trout. One day, you'll be a 14-incher. I know it. Oh, y'all ain't gonna believe this. I had cut the camera off, went up to another spot of the river, and we got a new species, y'all. A creek chub. That is actually a fantastic bait for literally all things in fresh water, wherever you can find these things at. Bass eat them, catfish eat them, big trout eat them, crappies eat them. Literally anything that sees this is going to chew on them. But not using that for bait today. Gonna let them go. These creek chubs actually get to be pretty good size too. You can take a 12-incher and put them out there behind a log jam somewhere. Anywhere you find flatheads, they'll eat them. Good striper bait too. Just really, really good bait. But definitely, oh good, quick release. Definitely was not looking for that guy right there. All right, y'all, one more way to catch trout is with the use of floating trout worms, salmon eggs, or trout dough. You can drift fish this, put a split shot up your line, and then put a small treble hook on the end, size 10, 12, 16, or 14. If you want a small little hook, you ball that up, and you put that on the hook under a bobber, and you just drift fish it. I'm gonna try this first, then I'm gonna go with the eggs. I've made myself a nice little dough ball on my hook. It's about 6-8 inches under a little float. Just pitch it into the current, drift it. I'm just gonna feed line out. And when I see that bobber go down, got me a trout. Oh, there's one. Oh, he smoked it. Did you see that? Good God. That fish obliterated that thing. I mean, that freaking cork shot underwater.